As I go through this training, please follow along with the instructions I give you. If there are 2 of you, each of you have your own computer. Follow along with everything that I say to follow along with, whether it's at your computer or not. You both need to learn both stations. If you're alone, you definitely need to learn both stations, but if there are 2 of you, you may need to learn the other station just in case the worst should happen and your partner is incapacitated. It is very important that you listen to what I'm teaching you so that when the time comes, you can accomplish your tasks without my help. So as I ask you to click, type, or do, follow along exactly so that you can see these important effects as we go through your training. And if you ever start to fall behind, you can pause this training at any time so that you can catch up to what I'm talking about. As we move through, there will be several times that I ask you to type in information. If you need extra time to type anything in, please pause this training so that you do not get lost as I move ahead. I'm going to repeat that one more time so you understand how important it is. If you need extra time to type anything in when you're told to type, immediately pause your training so that you don't get lost when I move on. When you're finished typing, you can then press play so that your training resumes. A couple more things I want to cover before we get started. A field is a box where you can type information in. You may already have known that, but it is important that you understand what I'm talking about when I'm talking about a field. Anytime I'm talking about a field, I am talking about the blank space where you can type in a box on your screen. Also, if at any time you need help during this training, or you feel undeniably confused and cannot figure out what's going on by yourself, you should pause your training and then raise your hand, and one of our staff members will come to assist you. Do not forget to pause before you raise your hand. Now that we've got those basics out of the way, the very first thing we need to do is log into your station to gain access. In order to do that, we need to go to the bottom right corner of your screen and enter your name where it says Officer Login, and type your name into the empty field there. If there are 2 of you, log in to your respective computers. If it's just one of you, log in to both. This is the last time I'll mention this, but if you need extra time to type, please pause your training and enter your name and restart when you're done. Now that your name is typed in, simply click the Login button directly below the field. This will give you access to the station. Before we do anything else, let's take a look at the widgets across the top center of your screen. If there are 2 of you, both of you can do this on your respective computers at the same time. If it's just one of you, pick which computer you want to start with. These widgets were designed to make yours and everyone else's job easier. The very first widget looks like a pink square with a pencil. If you hover over it, the words Long Range Message Composer appear, telling you what the widget is. This widget will allow us to craft and send a long-range message. Let's go ahead and do that now. Click on the Long Range Message Composer widget if you haven't already. A box will appear. At the top, you'll notice that once again we have the name of the widget, Long Range Message Composer. And then we have an empty to field and an empty body field. Long-range messages are similar to email. Because Voyager is often sent off into the vast darkness of space, she needed a way for her crew to transmit messages to Terran Space Command and also their families. It can get quite lonely out in the middle of space. This widget is available on every computer in the ship and allows any crew member to send any messages to anyone as long as they have the right address. We're going to send a long-range message to Terran Space Command, so go ahead and type that into the to field. Then, in the body of the message, type in "This is a test." Don't worry too much about spelling because the computer can fix that automatically after the message is sent in most cases. Now that we have our message typed, all we need to do is click Q for sending, which is right below the field you typed "This is a test" into. Once you've clicked that, your message is going to the review stage and will be sent if it's approved. The counterintelligence officer or officers review all outgoing communications to ensure that no sensitive information is being sent. The next widget is the calculator widget. It's right next to the long-range message composer. Go ahead and click on that to pull that up. If you ever need a calculator to quickly perform any math function, you can pull this calculator up. Go ahead and click the close button to exit now. Next to the calculator is your objectives widget. Go ahead and click on it. This will allow you to see your mission objectives as you progress throughout your mission. You'll notice there is nothing in there right now. That's because we are in training. You can check this, however, during your mission. Go ahead and click the close button to exit now. Next is the officer's log. The officer's log is a great place to take notes of happenings in your mission or keep a journal of things that have happened or that you've been told so that you can remember them in critical situations. One of my heroes, Quincy Lewis, taught me at an early age that if you don't write it down, you won't remember it when you need it. Not only is that true on your mission today, but is a great take-home lesson. Writing things down activates multiple centers of your brain and causes the memory to be recalled more effectively than when it's just heard. Use this to keep track of the various aspects of your mission. To enter something into the log, simply click the Start Log button. This will open a field on the right side of the window. If you click in the empty field, you can now type. Because we're in training, the log will be reset, so we're not going to type anything too exciting here. Just type in, "We are in training," and then click Save. Once you click Save, you'll notice how the log appears on the left-hand side. As you add entries, you'll be able to go back through and see any entry you've created. Use this throughout your mission to guarantee your success. You may now close that window. The next widget is the messaging widget. This allows you to instantly message anyone on the bridge and occasionally people on other decks depending on what you're doing at your station. For now, I just want to teach you how to use this. It is important to note that this isn't a toy. This is critical for mission success. It's for critical mission information only. Its purpose is to allow nonverbal communication to other crew members so that it stays relatively quiet on the bridge. This will allow the captain to hear everything that's going on, instead of the bridge becoming littered with side conversations that are distracting and make it difficult to hear things. It will also allow you to work quickly and efficiently on what you are doing without having to get up and run between stations. Let's send a message right now to the command monitor station. To do this, click New Message. Once you've done this, find Command Monitor in the list. Once you've found it, click on it, and you'll notice on the right-hand side where it says Messages, it now says Conversation with Command Monitor. Now all you have to do is type a message in the empty field next to where it says Send Message. The message we'll type right now is going to once again say, "This is a test." Once you have that typed in, go ahead and hit the Send Message button. When you do, you will see that it says your station name and then your message. Make sure you check back after you've sent a message to see if you've received a response. If and when they respond, it will show their station name and the message. You may now close out of this screen by clicking the Close button. The next widget is the Training widget. If ever in the middle of your mission you feel like you don't remember how to do something, clicking on that widget will help you understand what's going on a specific screen. It will give you a refresher course on how the various aspects of that screen work. You may close out of this, if you've clicked it, by selecting the X in the top left corner. The last widget is the Logout widget. You should only log out of your station if you feel like the bridge is going to be taken over and don't want the enemy to have access to your computer. Now that we've explored the widgets, let's take a look at the technology you control at the security stations themselves. We'll start with the Security Alpha Station. If you move your mouse to the left side of the screen, where there are several buttons, you'll notice that when you hover over one of these buttons, words appear next to them. This tells you which screens you have access to. Right now, we want to select the button that says Security Team Assignment. That will take us to a screen showing several empty fields. From this screen, you are able to assign security officers to teams and assign them to tasks to complete around the ship. For this example, let's say that there is an active explosive in Upper Cargo Bay Beta on Deck 6. You've been alerted to this threat, but since your primary assignment is on the bridge, you aren't able to go to Deck 6, so we'll send a team to handle this. Your security teams have recommended you send 6 officers to handle this situation. In order to create a security team, you need to click the green New Security Team button in the top left of your screen. That will now enable the fields to the right. We're going to give this team a name that helps us remember where we are sending them and what they are doing. Let's name this team Bomb Defusing Team. Go ahead and type that in the name field. The next thing we need to do is give orders. These orders need to be clear and concise. Concise means short but to the point. Right now, the order should be analyze the explosive on Deck 6 and disarm if possible. Now that we have their orders, we need to select the location. We have the location in this instance. It's Upper Cargo Bay Beta on Deck 6. Let's select that in the location dropdowns. Choose Deck 6 on the deck dropdown and Upper Cargo Bay Beta on the room dropdown. Now we need to set the priority. This alerts the team as to how critical this situation is to the safety of the ship. In this example of there being an active explosive, this would be emergency priority because it could claim several hundred lives if the bomb detonates. Now we need to assign specific officers to the situation. Select 6 officers from your Available Officers box on the right-hand side of the screen. Once you have these 6 officers assigned, you will click the Create Security Team button. This will assign and send these officers to handle this situation. You can access information on that team after you've sent them by selecting Bomb Defusing Team above the New Security Team button. You could change the priority, location, or orders for the team from here, or you could select additional officers to assist this team as needed. If you make any changes, or just want to exit this team without making changes, you would hit the Update Security Team button. If the team has completed their task and you want them to return to their regular duty assignments, you could, but don't do this right now, hit the Recall Security Team button. Let's go ahead and leave this team alone for now. Just so you're aware, recalling the team sends the officers you selected back into the Available Officers pool and clears out the team. As you're assigning teams, make sure that you cycle through all of your security officers. If you keep sending the same officers over and over again, they'll get burnt out, and the rest of your security officers could start to complain that they aren't getting any assignments. As their boss, it is important that you take care of your people and make sure they're well rested and well trained. I'm going to say it one more time, just in case you missed it. Make sure that your team, the bomb defusing team, is still active. If you cleared the team, recreate it right now and then resume this training. If you wish to message your security teams, you can do so from the messaging widget. Just select New Message and choose Security Teams. This will send a message to all of the teams on duty. Do be aware that if you have no teams out, you need to communicate with your security liaison, as no teams are out so nobody will receive your messages. Use your messaging widget to get updates and assist teams as needed. Now let's take a look at the internal scanners. Internal scanners allow us to scan the inside of our ship if we're looking for something specific. It is very, very important to note that the internal scanners cannot detect things like hostiles or intruders. The computer cannot differentiate intentions of any individual. However, if we know the intruders are Ashtari, an alien race, for instance, then they could be detected using the internal scanners because you could scan for their specific race, and the computer could detect the differences in Ashtari DNA from human DNA. Using the internal scanners is an art. You have to know how to find what you're looking for. In our example of the bomb on Deck 6, let's say we wanted to identify the active explosive in the upper cargo bay. What we would do is click the New Scan button. That will allow us to have all of the fields available to start our scan. Now, let's choose our location. You'll notice you can scan all decks to look for something, but in this example, we know that the active explosive is in Upper Cargo Bay Beta on Deck 6, so let's select that. Choose Deck 6 and then Upper Cargo Bay Beta. In the scan input, we want to tell the computer to identify this explosive. So let's type in Identify Active Explosive. Just for learning purposes, notice how there are several scan types on the right-hand side? These can help us narrow down what we are looking for, or help us detect something that is a little harder to get a lock on by changing the settings. You'll notice our scanners can search in various modes. Standard is an unfocused scan that looks for pieces of all the various modes. Organic searches specifically for life forms and similar organic material, things that are alive. Inorganic scans are for non-living materials specifically. Infrared scanners see heat, which can help see a vessel or a person that has a stealth field active and is hiding from standard scans. Subspace scanners are required to perform any scans if the jump drive is active. Let's choose inorganic for this scan, which means not living, since we know that this is a machine, an explosive. This will take less time to scan and will get us information quicker. Now click Begin Scan. You'll notice in your scan log, it shows that the scan is going. If you needed to, you could start another scan and get it rolling while waiting for the results from this first scan. We aren't scanning for anything else right now, so we can leave that option for a later time. When you get your answer, the scan log for that initial scan will turn green. When it turns green, click on it. We now have the answer. It's a tricobalt explosive with a G4 casing. Sending that information to your team could help them disarm faster. Sometimes your team will ask you to run a certain scan. Sometimes other people will ask you to run scans, but this is how and where you do it. Now let's shift gears and take a look at your security beta screen. If you haven't already logged in for some reason, do so now. Once you've logged in, move your mouse over to the buttons on the left side and select the Security Decks screen. This gives you direct access to security functions on all decks. This will allow you to evacuate decks, seal off decks, or release transient gas on decks. Transient gas is a rare gas that sucks all of the oxygen out of the air quickly, which can incapacitate intruders or stop fires very rapidly. Once the gas has been released, it's important to note that it will dissipate rather rapidly, but still needs to be vented from the area to allow oxygen to once again cycle through the deck. This means that it doesn't cause brain damage to individuals that are incapacitated by lack of oxygen. Not a pleasant way to get knocked out, but an efficient one. If the computer alerts you to a hull breach on the ship, this means that something has punctured the hull, the external plating that keeps us in and space out. And oxygen would be depleting very quickly on that deck. If this happens, we need to issue an evacuation alert and seal that deck off until the hull breach is plugged so that we stop venting oxygen into space. So for now, let's see that there is a hull breach on Deck 9. We need to get those people out of there before the oxygen is gone. Select Deck 9 out of the deck list. Now we need to evacuate the deck. Click the Evacuate Deck button. Once that happens, it's going to show the deck is being evacuated. You can then use your security scanners to check how many life forms are still on Deck 9. You don't need to do this now as we're in training and you won't get actual data. But once there are 0 life forms on that deck, then you'd click the Close Door button to seal the bulkheads and prevent any more oxygen loss from occurring. Go ahead and close the doors now. Since we're here, let's say that the Arboretum on Deck 9 has a fire going. Obviously, this example makes no sense with almost no oxygen existing on the deck from our previous example, but let's just assume there's 2 different things for now. We'd want to evacuate the deck, but instead of sealing the doors in this instance, we'd simply need to release transient gas into the Arboretum. Choose the Arboretum from the Select Room drop-down, and then hit the Release Transient Gas button. This will release transient gas and take the oxygen out of the room. After releasing the transient gas, we would want to run a scan of the Arboretum on Deck 9 to ensure the fire has stopped. When it says there's no fire detected, you would siphon the transient gas and allow normal oxygen to cycle the room. Then you could return everyone to the deck. The transient gas sucking the oxygen means that the fire has no fuel and can't burn any longer. Anytime a fire occurs in the ship, this is a great way to put it out rapidly with very minimal damage. Go ahead and return all the officers to Deck 9. Now let's move on to your next screen, the Armory screen. The Armory screen allows you to assign equipment to your teams in the field. Remember our awesome bomb defusing team that we sent to handle that active explosive on Deck 6? Let's go back to them. In our scenario here, one of the officers has asked for us to get them 2 tactical vests and 1 pair of night vision goggles. In order to send them the equipment, let's choose which storage area we are grabbing the equipment from. Let's grab the equipment from Armory Delta on Deck 20. Choose that from the drop-down in the Equipment Hold Contents area. Then click twice on Tactical Vests and once on Night Vision Goggles to place these items in the Ready Equipment. In order to get it to our team, we need to, in the Teams drop-down, choose our Bomb Defusing Team. Then select whoever is the very first officer in the list. Once that's done, you can hit the Transfer to Officer button, and our Armory officer will immediately take those supplies to our team. You'll then notice that the officer who transferred the items to turns red, indicating that they have the equipment. If you select that officer, you can remove the inventory so that you can use it again later. Remember who you check out equipment to so that you can make sure we get it back and we can use it again in the future. Go ahead and select the officer, remove the inventory, and note how it is back in the Ready Equipment category. All you need to do is click on the equipment, and that will get our Armory team out and returning the equipment to its proper hold to be used again. This is how you can distribute equipment amongst your officers. You may preemptively assign equipment as well if you feel like you know what they'll need for a specific task. Very lastly, if you on either computer, or both of you, select the Library Information screen, you can see many entries on many different topics. These topics also have categories that you are welcome to peruse and research if you wish and have time. Remember that this should never take your primary responsibilities over. This is a great tool and a great place to gather information about known alien races, technology, governmental structure, etc. This concludes your training. I hope you understand how important your responsibilities on this ship are. You are part of a team in charge of the roughly 2,100 lives on your ship. If there is anything you don't understand, make sure you get clarification on it now. You may raise your hand now, and a staff member will come and grab your training equipment from you. Good luck.